It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're joined right now by Matt Tait. He covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Wave the Wheat and R1S1 Sports. Matt, good morning.
Good morning. How we doing, guys?
We are doing well this morning. Kansas Jayhawks, they are going to play both Utah and BYU, and as you're probably about to find out, my co-host went to Arizona State, and they're on the schedule too. So they got we like to joke about our three local teams. ASU in September, Utah in October, BYU in November. And I am curious, in an era when a lot of people have stopped spending money on facilities and spend it on players, obviously Kansas had this massive stadium rebuild, and you'd argue that just had to be done, the state of the program and all that. Is that providing the type of momentum and energy going forward, both in recruiting but also in the fan base and donors and all that, that is expected to, or is there a little bit of thought that, man, we zigged when everyone else zagged and it's left us a little behind?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think the response to what they've done and they've done it right is the most important part. It's not been a Band-Aid approach. They knocked the whole thing down and really didn't cut any corners and have made it an incredible facility. And it's beyond 6 football games in the fall too. I mean, they're using that thing year round and certainly plan to do more and more as it gets complete and as the years move on. So, they did it right. That got people excited. It looks nice. It looks fancy. It's as nice as there is maybe in the country in terms of, seat for seat, pound for pound, all that stuff. And I think the momentum would be off the charts if they just won better the last couple of years. I mean, 5-7 the last 2 years, good enough to be good, not good enough to be good, leaving a little to be desired. Obviously, they had a ton of talent both of those years, and especially at the quarterback position. And so I think the jury's still out a little bit on how all in people are, because they want to support a winner on that field. It's great to have the facility, but they want to watch their team win. And so this year, next year, very big years for the program. They were so close to a bowl game each of the last 2 years, and really even just getting to 6-6 would have changed the trajectory entirely. I mean, especially at Kansas, you don't take bowl games and bowl appearances for granted at all. So I think the 5-7 records have hurt them a little bit, but by and large, people are still interested, excited, and the program's still relevant around here, and that's what makes this year such a big, big year.
Quarterback-wise, you got Cole Ballard, Isaiah Marshall, Rice transfer, Chase Jenkins. What do you think?
Yeah, it's down to Ballard and Marshall for sure. Jenkins is a really nice player, brings some depth, brings some athleticism. They like him. They wouldn't have brought him in if they didn't, and those other two guys like him too. So I just think he's too far behind, and he's been injured a little bit in spring. So I really think it's a race at the top with those other two guys, and it's a really interesting battle. I mean, all quarterback battles are interesting by nature, but it's a really interesting battle because in some ways Cole and Isaiah are similar, and in other ways they're completely different. I mean, Cole is a really bright quarterback. He runs the offense the way it needs to be run. He knows where guys are going to be. He knows how to get teams into good plays and out of bad plays. He knows, how to be consistent. He knows how to be smart, and he's got a little bit of experience. Isaiah is the opposite of that. I mean, the question with him is how well can he run the offense? How does it look when he's out there in charge? We haven't seen it a ton. He's been on the field some, but mostly just as a playmaker, and that's where he's exciting for people, is because he is a dynamic talent. I mean, when he gets going with his legs, He can make plays that Cole can't make. He can make plays that a lot of guys can't make. So I think the whole thing's going to come down to consistency. And if you made me pick today, I'd probably give the edge to Cole Ballard because of that. I mean, he just has a more consistent approach, and he's shown that in the limited time he's been able to be out there. But I do think they'll both play. I mean, I think if Cole Ballard's your starter, I still think they have a handful of packages and maybe more than we've seen in the past for Isaiah to be in the game, because he's too good of an athlete and too explosive and too dynamic of a player on any potential snap for him to not play at all. So I think even if it is Cole as the starter, I think they're going to find a way to play them both, not in a 2-quarterback system or alternating drives or anything crazy like that. I asked this spring about that, and it's been done. I don't know that many coaches, if any, anymore want to do that ever or even like it, but what they're talking about is different than that. So I think they both play, but I'd have to pick Cole Ballard as of now. Isaiah's going to need a really, really good camp to pass him.
So that leads us to the receiving corps then. Cam Pickett is back. Their transfers, 50 new players, 32 of them transfers. 12 early enrollee freshmen I read about. But Nick McMillan, a transfer from Buffalo, Najee Cox from Middle Tennessee, along with Cam Pickett returning. Is it wide receiver by committee? Is there somebody who's going to jump out of this group and be dominant? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is a little bit unknown right now. I think, they've got bodies there that they like. I think if you were to name someone who would jump out, like you just talked about, I think it would be Cox. I think there's a lot to like about his game. Big, strong, physical, big hands, good, strong hands. I mean, he seems to me, and we're not out there every day in the spring and obviously aren't with them all the time either, but just talking to the coaches, talking to some of his teammates, I mean, his was a name that kept coming up, and it also was kind of centered around the idea that he keeps coming up because he keeps getting better, and the light bulb keeps going on for him every day, and he learns a little something and then commits it to memory, and then he's got it. And so I think, if you were looking for a breakout kind of guy, that would probably be as good a bet as anybody. He's not a guarantee in that regard by any means, but he's definitely somebody they like and have high hopes for. But you're right, Cam Pickett's a huge player that's on the returning list. I mean, he was a dynamic part of last year's offense and had some injuries that he battled through that kept him from really breaking out and being the explosive guy that he can be. But he's a veteran. There's a rapport there with those quarterbacks that already exists, and he knows the system and he knows the offense. And of course, the other part of that is Andy Kotelnicki's back as their offensive coordinator after 2 years at Penn State. Did really, really well, relatively speaking, at Penn State. I mean, he had them in the playoffs the first year, and then it all kind of fell apart last year. And so Kansas was really lucky to land him again. I did not think he would find his way back here. I really didn't. He's a future head coach. I kind of thought he might go find that position now at a lower level or something like that. But the connection that he has with his staff, the connection that he has with Lance Leipold is unbelievable. And so when he was available and they kicked around the idea of bringing him back, I think both sides were really excited about it. And he's back, and it's almost like he never left. And so as much as the Cam Pickett's of the world and some other guys that have been here in the past are veterans in a sense, and there's some value in those returners. Andy's new to a lot of them too, and so there is a little bit of that adjustment that needs to happen, and that's obviously what spring was about in a big way. But from everything I hear, man, Andy's come back and he's really allowed the terminology and the things that existed here after he left to stay in place, and he's learned it instead of forcing the players to learn what he wants and what he calls things and things like that. He's learned their language, and that's a credit to him for sure. He's a heck of a coach, and I really do think it was noticeable with him gone, and I do think it'll be noticeable with him back. He's just an excellent play caller, and he does some really fun stuff out there, and even when you're overmatched talent-wise, he can find a way to sort of negate that.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Top 4 rushers, or top 3 rushers, I should say, are gone from last season, the 2 running backs, and then Jalen Daniels, obviously the quarterback. So what's going to happen as far as who's carrying the ball?
Well, Dylan Edwards is an incredible talent. He's had a heck of a weird career. He's a Kansas kid. KU recruited him hard out of Derby High School when he was one of the top prospects in the country. I couldn't even give you the list in order of where he chose and didn't choose, but I know he played at Colorado, and I know he played at K-State, and I know Notre Dame was in the mix too. But he finally landed at Kansas. Incredible player. I mean, he really is. It's as much mental with him. I mean, he's got to have his head on straight and be right and be happy and be in a place that he feels good. And all signs this spring pointed to him maybe feeling better than he's ever felt as a college football player. And part of that's credit to him. Part of that's credit to this staff. Part of that's credit to his teammates because, he was a sort of lightning rod for attention at all of those other stops. And there were some really highs and some really lows. He's an interesting player, but his talent is undeniable. And everything that I've heard about him so far is that, this guy is a game changer. And so he's a nice piece that you can add for what you just mentioned, making up for the loss of what was in that running back room last year. He's a nice piece for a coach like Andy Kozelnicki to have because he can do so many different things with him. If he stays healthy and stays happy, I mean, he should be as good as there is in the conference and has a chance to have a real monster year. They do have some talent behind him. Yassine Willis is a player they brought in, a big physical punishing runner, but, he likes to say that, he's not just that. I mean, he's got some moves and some shake to him too. But he'll happily run over you as well. It's really wild to watch those two guys stand next to each other because Dylan's tiny and it's sort of like that Brandon Jacobs photo from the Giants years ago when I can't remember who the other guy in the photo was, but big and small, extra large and extra small. I mean, it's wild to see that they play the same position. But there's a couple other backs, a couple returners that have been kind of in and out of health and are hoping to make a splash. Kid named Thurman's one. And then there's a true freshman that everybody talks about and really likes. And his name's Corey Amakri, and he's from Michigan. And physically, mentally, everything, he brings an approach that certainly doesn't seem like a true freshman. I mean, he looks like he's ready to play meaningful snaps right away, and I would at this point be shocked if he doesn't contribute in some way. So a totally different room. You're right about that, but it's not missing talent, and it's not missing depth, and it's not missing options. I mean, they can do a lot of things with the backs they have.
Matt Tait joining us, Kansas Spring Football Tour. You already mentioned the back-to-back 5-win seasons, not getting bowl eligible. Giving up almost 27 points a game and 173 yards on the ground. It's clear the rush defense has to get better, and the defense has to improve if Kansas is going to have winning records and be bowl eligible in that. So what does the D-line look like? How much did they beef that up?
Yeah, you mentioned the number of transfers, and so there's a lot of guys up there that are factoring into that as well, and they're all new to us, right? So we hear what we hear, and there's some names that are thrown around, but without having seen it or gotten to know them or actually seen them deliver on Saturdays, it's hard to know exactly what's going to happen. I know that, the D-line, it's obviously a little bit different when you're talking interior and on the edge, but Leroy Harris is a guy that they're really excited about. He had a pretty strong year last year and was still very much, growing into the position and into himself and into the sport and all of that. And so I think the expectation with Leroy is to have a monster year this year. And there's no reason to think that he can't. I mean, a hard worker, incredible length, incredible, athleticism. I mean, he's one of those guys that just really seems like he's ready to take the next step and to make an impact that's bigger than he's had before, and they're going to need that. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Is it's not just they hope he makes that impact; they need him to. And so I think that's a name to watch on the D line for sure. I mean, Again, he's an edge rusher, and so it's a little bit different when you're talking about the interior and the edge, but he's a huge part of it. Blake Harreld's another guy on the interior. He's not going to wow anybody really, but he's just always been there, and he's a veteran KU guy. He's been here his whole career, and he's just steady, hard-working dude, makes plays, continues to get better, and that's certainly a name that people know, and he still, I think, has a chance to even take another step forward in his production and what he can bring to the defense. They brought in a couple of guys. There's a guy named Iman Smalls. They call him Biggie. He's a name to watch up there too, 6'2", 315 pounds. Dak Brinkley's another Kansas guy. He's been here his whole career. He's on the edge there, on the other side from Leroy, and Dak was highly recruited out of high school in Arizona, and stuck with Kansas. He came in with 2 or 3 guys from the same high school, and I think the other 2 are gone now. They transferred out, but he stuck it out, and he's had playing time, but now's the time for him to take the next step, and everything seems to be as it should be with him. I mean, they're ready for him to have that breakout year, but it's not like he's behind or has disappointed in any way. I mean, he just keeps getting better, and he keeps getting more experience. And so Leroy and Dak are the edge guys to watch, and then with Biggie and Blake Harreld and another guy, David Santiago, who came spent some time at Michigan State and Air Force. That's another interior guy, edge guy. I mean, they have a lot of guys, like I said, that are hoping to just kind of slot into a rotation. They don't mind, rotating guys through and keeping fresh legs on the field. If they have, 8 D tackles that can play and they're all worthy of playing time, they'll find a way to play all 8. If they only have 2, then they'll lean on those guys. But I think they're still sorting that out a little bit. But those are some names to watch and guys that will have to have an impact for this defense to be better.
The thought is if you go overseas and that's where they're playing ASU, that those teams come back and there's a struggle, and I think they have a bye, and then Middle Tennessee, then they play Utah. Was there any concern about that? Because I think that was part of Kansas State's thing the year before in Ireland this past season. I'm wondering what the ramification was as far as anything negative by playing that game over there.
I think they're super excited about it. I do. I mean, I know what you're talking about, and I think they like the way the schedule sets up in that regard. They do play Missouri right before that game, which is, their biggest rival from all the way back to the Civil War. So, it's a little bit of a wild stretch there when you look at it that way, but having the bye after the game is important. And then, of course, there are reports out there that say they're making $2.7 million to go play the game. So in this day and age, if someone's going to give you $2.7 million, you'll go play wherever they want you to play. I mean, and Lance has talked about, wanting to do a game like this from the time he got here. There's a lot that he likes about the idea of being the only game in town, being sort of a spotlight showcase game. It gets more attention. It gets more eyeballs. That certainly helps with recruiting. That helps with your fan base. I think they hope a lot of people are going to go over. I think if they were back-to-back bowl teams and had won one of those or 2 of those maybe, I think the number of Kansas fans that would make that trip would be enormous. But I think that's where they may pay for that a little bit. They may not get the fan support and the travelers that they initially hoped when they decided to jump into this game. But I think overall they're excited about it. It's an awesome opportunity to be in that showcase and then also show recruits and whatever, that you'll go do things like this. So, they've got to play the game and they've got to show well, and obviously they want to win. And if they don't win against a really tough opponent and they get their doors blown off, maybe they'll have some negatives on the back end of it. But right now I've heard nothing but excitement and positive stuff about the opportunity and just the fact that they're going to do this is something they've wanted to do.
He's Matt Tait. He covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Wave the Wheat and R1S1 Sports. Matt, thanks for taking a few minutes and talking spring football with us here and getting us ready for Big 12 football in the fall.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it. But, I'll take summer first. So you guys enjoy it. And And that Arizona State thing, the connection you have there is interesting because KU and Arizona State baseball are both factoring into the Big 12 race right now. So
first and second place.
There you go. Enjoy that if you're paying attention, and that's a whole other topic that we could get into another time. But for Kansas baseball to be ranked 7th in the country is even more mind-blowing than the big football stadium and bowl games on Saturday. It's unbelievable. So thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again.
Thank you, Matt. See, Matt getting right in your wheelhouse right there, PK. Let's go college baseball, huh?
Yeah, each team has 2 series left, and then on to the conference tournament.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
I drive my bus in a busy city. That's why road safety is so important to me. I know that I must slow down and be extra careful when I make a wide turn. Buses need more room than cars. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're driving, remember to give buses plenty of time and space to finish turning before driving ahead. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.